It was a game we were expected to win. They were able to take care of them, 38-13 the final on that one. The Cyclones only came away with 3 points in the first quarter of that game. Is this something to be concerned about? We're about to take on the top 3 offenses, not just in the Big 12, but in the nation. I mean, 1, 2, and 3, not 1, 2, 10, 1, 2, and 3. Is this something to be concerned about? We'll start with Garrett here.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning because looking at, like, as you mentioned, the top 3 offenses in the nation, I went through their average per first quarter scoring-wise. Baylor averages 22.5 points in the first quarter.
Wow.
Then TCU averages 18.2 points in the first quarter, and then Tech averages 14.6 points in the first quarter.
Jeez.
So obviously, by those stats, Iowa State needs to get in the end zone quick and often in the first quarter instead of just getting 3 points.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. It's something we've struggled with all season. It's just, taking advantage of opportunities and getting down the field and punching the ball in when we do drive the ball down, not missing field goals, things of that matter. And another interesting stat I found, coming into the season, I felt optimistic about Iowa State's offense, but right now they rank 104th nationally. I mean, that's not going to win you games in the Big 12. Ben, what do you have?
Not to mention the eye test of these teams. Watching Iowa State ball this year, you really are able to tell. Even playing teams like Iowa, when a quarterback like that breaks for 30, 40 yards run, what are you going to do when a guy like Trevon Boykin comes to town?
Yeah.
He's going to run up and down the field the whole time. Not to mention our secondary gets picked apart. They got picked apart by Toledo.
Yep.
Kansas even had their moments with us, which says something because that is the worst Kansas team I think I've seen in recent history.
I would agree.
There are bad Kansas teams to compare that by. But that being said, I think Iowa State's offense will surprise a lot of people in these upcoming games. I think we'll fall off versus Tech, but really pick it back up. But I think we're in for a long road of a lot of upsets and a lot of morale going down after that big win.
Yep, and I agree. And, Iowa State, they just need to get the ball rolling, get the ball into the end zone. What are your guys' other takeaways from this game? We'll start with you this time, Ben. Did you have any other takeaways?
Yeah, big offense, which was big because we haven't had a big offensive game since last season. Guy like Mike Warren runs the ball for freshman running record he had this week.
Yeah.
When that happens, it does boost a lot of morale, and you're going to need that coming into this next week. That being said, there were still a lot of missed opportunities. That missed field goal at the beginning of the game, I had a sinking feeling in my stomach. I thought we were about to lose to Kansas 2 years in a row, and it was probably the worst I felt in a long time. That being said, I don't think I saw enough improvement this last week or in recent weeks to have a lot to hope for. That Kansas team was so bad it made us look better than we were.
Yeah, and I agree. That was my main takeaway from the game as well. Mankel pointed out last time, this is a team we should have put up 50, 60 points on. I think it was 67 to be exact. But, Kansas exposed us at times. There were gaps open in the secondary, and they capitalized and got down the field. Richardson threw a couple picks, one for a pick 6 on a screen pass that shouldn't have been thrown. What do you have, Garrett?
The only takeaway I could take from this game was the first drive for Kansas, because that was the only time that Kansas looked explosive against this Iowa State defense. Kansas just went quick and often. Like, the fast-paced offense really killed Iowa State.
Yeah.
And once Iowa State finally slowed down Kansas, then it was Iowa State's game. So the fast-paced offense really concerns me against Iowa State's defense.
Yeah, and Iowa State is running that 3-4 defense, and, I think the biggest problem was, I pointed out in the last show, I thought we needed to stop the run game, and I think Kansas only ran for 20, 30 yards or something like that.
Not much.
I mean, and they passed the ball pretty effectively, so when we go to take on a Baylor or TCU, that could be troubling going forward. Let's see, who's your offensive game ball go-to? We'll start with Garrett here.
Obviously, you can go with Mike Warren, but I'm not going to go with him. I'm going to go with Sam Richardson.
Okay.
For one reason only. Because he got his first Big 12 win as a starter. You have to give it to him. I'm sorry. Getting that first Big 12 win as a starter is really, morale boosting for him. But he didn't have a solid game. He had a solid game, but not a great game against this Kansas team. He had 2 touchdown passes, 1 rushing, 1. He also had 269 yards throwing. He did have that 2 interceptions, though, against this Kansas team, but one of them really wasn't his fault.
Right.
Mike Warner kind of stopped on the play. But he also completed 72% of his passes. So that was a good outing for him, especially getting that first Big 12 win as a starter.
In fairness, I think he probably could have thrown for 300 yards too, but we did give the ball to Mike Warren, they gave the ball to Mike Warren as he was effective all game. Ben, who do you have as your offensive game ball of the week?
I'm going to take the easy road on this one, and I'm going to give it to Mike Warren. Anytime you break a rushing record, like a school from Iowa State, where we have a history of rushing, we don't have a history of throwing quarterbacks. That freshman rushing record is a big week for him, and what it gives him is a confidence going into the rest of the season, which he's going to need. You know, a freshman he's going to be carrying the program for the next couple of years after a game like that, and that confidence really could be big and launch him into the season and into a long career.
Yeah, and I have the exact same thing. Mike Warren, I mean, I'll give the O-line credit where it's due as well, but, I mean, when you outrush the other team by well over 100 yards, I mean, you're getting the game ball. I do give it up to Richardson for picking up his first Big 12 win, and don't quote me on this, was his last, win, I don't know if he started in that game against Kansas. It was the first game he played in.
He didn't start. He came in for Steel Giants that year.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. So we'll move on to the defensive game ball. I thought the defense was pretty effective in this game. Obviously, we rushed the quarterback, and we had a total of 5 sacks, and that's why I'm giving my game ball to Willie Harvey. The linebacker had 2 of the 5 sacks in the game, and I think this could be a big momentum shifter going ahead. You know, we need the linebackers to step up in this Big 12 or heading into Big 12 play. Who do you have as your defensive player?
I'm giving it to the defensive stud of the year, who's Dale Pearson. What they did this week, Kansas double-teamed him a lot, and what it did, it opened up opportunity for the rest of the team to make tackles and make plays and hold them to, which that stat was, they had 38 rushing yards, Kansas, this game, which is an incredible stat for an Iowa State defense because usually we just let up rushing yards after rushing yards. So I'm going to give it to him, not because of the way he performed, but that he is such a presence that they had to focus so much on him to really, for the rest of the defense to succeed.
All right, and Kroger, who do you got?
I also went with Willie Harvey because, as you mentioned, 2 sacks which was a loss for 19 yards on those 2 sacks. He also had 8 tackles, and I was pretty sure that was his first start this year.
He's a redshirt freshman.
So that was very impressive against this Kansas team.
All right, and then the last point I wanted to bring up in this game, you know, the effectiveness of Mike Warren. Is he for real? I mean, 2 straight 100-yard performances, or did we just play Kansas? You know, is this guy going to keep up this output for the rest of the season? Kroger, we'll start with you this time.
I really do believe he's for real. For one reason, because his first outing, his first breakthrough game was against the Leo. He had 128 yards against them, and they're the 7th ranked rush defense in the nation.
Okay.
They held Arkansas the week before, their first game of the season, to 103 yards. And Arkansas is known for that ground and pound type of running attack.
Yeah.
So with Mike Warren outgaining the whole entire Arkansas offense in rushing yards, that's definitely for real for him.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he's the real deal. I mean, he's only a freshman, and he's the number 1 option right now, in my opinion. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler Brown will be coming back. I think they'll split some carries, and that might take down the production a little bit. But, I mean, 2 straight 100-yard performances, that's hard to come by at Iowa State, at least after last year. I mean, I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 performances throughout the year that went over 100 yards. And he's done it on a relatively low clip as well, 7.5 yards, or over 7.5 yards per carry. Like I said, the competition's lackluster. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think he has a lot of potential, and I think he's really showed that potential in these past couple games. Where he's really explosive is that second level. After he gets through the hole, he just really finds where he wants to go, and he runs the ball hard. Although we were playing Kansas.
Yep.
In that Kansas team, I was standing next to someone, and as they came out of the tunnel, they said they looked big, but they didn't look athletic.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want to hear about your team. So nonetheless, seeing them come out of the tunnel like that, it really opened up a chance for Warren to kind of have a day and build that confidence like we were talking about.
Yep. Well, that's all I got on the Kansas game right now. We're going to toss it to a recap of that game, and then we're going to go to a break. But after that, we're going to preview the Texas Tech game coming up. Stay tuned. We'll have more.
It's a beautiful day of football. The 1-2 Cyclones are looking for their first conference win against the Kansas Jayhawks, who are 0-3. The Cyclones are looking to improve after their last game, which ended in a double overtime loss in Toledo. It feels good to be 1-0 in the Big 12 Conference, Coach Paul Rhodes. This is the Cyclones' first win in a conference opener since 2002, which finally ended a 9-game conference losing streak since last season. Sam Richardson had a good game, throwing for a total of 269 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. This moved him into second place in ISU's career touchdown passes list with 44 touchdowns. This is Richardson's 16th career game with multiple touchdown passes, and he is now the third Cyclone with 500 career completions. Richardson connected with sophomore receiver Alan Lazard for a team-high 6 receptions for 75 yards. In addition to Richardson's good game, Mike Warren set an ISU freshman record with 175 rushing yards, which was the most rushing yards by a Cyclone since November 18, 2006. Warren is the first Cyclone freshman to record back-to-back 100-yard games. On defense, Willie Harvey had a career high in tackles with a total of 8 tackles and 2 sacks. Brian Peavy had his first double-digit tackle game of his career with 10 tackles. Harvey in his post-game press conference said, "We just stuck to our plan, so we just wanted to stop the runners." What a great day to be a Cyclone as Iowa State put up a season-high 38 points to Kansas's 13. Next week, the Cyclones will continue their conference season against a strong Texas Tech team on the road. With ISU TV, I'm Lily Fauché.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. So we just left off recapping the Kansas game, and the Cyclones up next are taking on Texas Tech, one of those top 3 offenses I was talking about, and one of those 3 air raid offenses we have to take on. I'm going to start out here. What must State do to prevent getting the passing attack, or excuse me, preventing the passing attack, seeing they haven't played that great of a passing team this season? We'll start with Kroger this time.
First off, they really, because Iowa State, they love to play that bend, don't break defense. So really keeping those wide receivers in front of you instead of like getting burnt deep.
Yeah.
Obviously, is that be one way to prevent that defense. But then also get pressure on the quarterback.
Yep.
Because against quality teams, Iowa State has only got 3 sacks, and those 3 sacks came against Iowa, and they got none against Toledo. Those are the 2 quality teams that they played this year.
Yep.
Against the non-quality teams like Kansas and UNI, they've had 11 sacks. So the disparity against the quality teams and the non-quality teams is very different.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech, you would qualify them as a quality team. So Iowa State really needs to show up and bring the pressure against Texas Tech.
Yeah, and you're not going to get away with playing a quality team like Tech and not expecting them to not put up points on the board when you don't stop drives. My key point I had also was creating pressure and just not leaving gaps in the secondary. I think using the linebackers to blitz will be the most effective thing for Iowa State to do. Baylor was able to handle Texas Tech last week, and I think because they were able to put pressure on Mahomes and create turnovers. So I think that's what Iowa State needs to do this week. Ben, what do you have as your key point?
Yeah, I have some of the same key points. Pressure on the quarterback's huge. Don't play much bend, don't break. I don't think you can this week. I know it's our defense and it's our history of it, but it's not going to work this week, especially with a quarterback like Mahomes who likes to stay in the pocket. You got to get him out and make him make mistakes. That being said, the times the Cyclones have forced the quarterback out of the pocket this year, it's led to a lot of long quarterback runs. Now, Mahomes is an athlete, so he'll be able to make those runs even if that's not what he's known for. So that secondary staying on their coverage, keeping up with what they're supposed to be doing is going to be big. But I think the biggest games will need to be coming from the defensive line.
The one thing I did want to point out, it may be effective letting Mahomes run the ball just because I did see he will be reportedly playing through some pain Saturday. We'll see his status going into that game. Iowa State enters this one a 12-point underdog. Some people are surprised by that. What do you guys think? Too high, too low, or is that just right? What do you think?
I'm going to have to go with too low. That's too low only because the history of scoring from both teams.
Yep.
Iowa State's really struggled to score this season. Our highest is 38 versus KU, which, again, it's KU. It's just easy to score against them when we should have scored more. And Texas Tech puts up points. You saw it a few weeks ago in that Texas Tech TCU game. They're going to put up more than 50 points, and I don't think Iowa State has the ability to put up more than 40 against a team like Tech.
I think, personally, I think it could be just right or too low as well. If ISU's defense, answers the call, makes those stops, it could be a respectable score. In that Kansas game as well as the UNI game, there were a lot of unfinished drives, points that were left off the board, field goals, and if they can, make those points, I think they could, keep up with Tech and make it a respectable game. What do you think, Kroger?
I believe the line is just right because Texas Tech's defense is not good at all.
Yeah.
To put it nicely,
Yeah.
they're awful because their defense is ranked 127th in the nation of 128 teams.
Yep.
And they gave up 637 yards against Sam Houston State, who's an FCS team.
That's true.
So that's not good. And UTEP, and with the emergence of Mike Warren, UTEP ran for 227 yards on that defense.
Wow.
With the emergence of Mike Warren, and really, Iowa State really can put up big numbers sometime against Tech, like they have against when they went down one year against Lubbock when Jerome Tiller was the quarterback.
Yep.
That year they put up like 40-some points on them. So really, Iowa State can play good in Lubbock, and I feel like this line is just right.
And I think, I mean, how many points has Tech given up the past 2 weeks? Like 110, 120 something.
63 and then like 50. So
I mean,
110.
yeah, so crazy numbers. I think Iowa State may be able to put up those numbers. Let's see. Where did I leave off? In addition to what we talked about with the air raid offense, if the Cyclones want to win this game, what are their keys to victory? How are they going to steal one from the Red Raiders on the road? Kroger, we'll start with you.
I believe just slow them down because the Iowa State defense, as I mentioned before, is not great against the fast-paced offenses. And Texas Tech, they like to go fast. They like to do the hurry up with the air raid, just spread it around.
Yeah.
If Iowa State's able to slow them down, I really feel Iowa State will have a good chance to win this game.
All right, and what do you think, Ben?
I think the key is to create turnovers in an air raid offense, frustrate that quarterback, make a couple picks, create a couple turnovers, and do it early. Make the turnovers happen early. Like you can see our statistics, they have an offense that is 602 yards, and if you can frustrate that offense by intercepting a drive or two and really stopping the ability to make plays, then the Cyclones will have more of a chance to put up the points that they are going to need to put up against Tech.
And as that graphic pointed out, and Kroger pointed out earlier, I mean, 581 yards of total defense on average. So I think, the key for Iowa State that I have is an aggressive passing game has to show up. We know Warren can run the ball and make the plays that he needs to make. He can be serviceable if we need him. But we need Richardson and we need this receiving core to step up. We saw a glimpse of the tight end game in that against Kansas. And I think if they can get some more passes through the slot and over the middle, I think we might be able to finish some more of those drives. Who do you guys have as your players to watch? We'll start with Texas Tech, and we'll start with Ben.
My player to watch is Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback. I think if he has a big game, it's going to be a long day for the Cyclones. But that being said, he is playing through that injury you talked about.
Yep.
If he throws a couple picks or just can't make the throws that day, then Iowa State has the chance to run some points up on that Tech defense. So really, I think how much Tech scores decides how well this game goes.
All right, and I also have Mahomes as mine, but I also have, if Mahomes goes down for any reason or doesn't play, the former starter Davis Webb is still on that roster. I didn't even know. I figured he had graduated
He's
or
an
something.
athlete, too.
But he was the starter 2 years before Holmes, and he threw for over 2,000 yards in both of those seasons. While one of those was a lackluster Tech team, he did lead that one. I think it was like a 7-0 start before they completely collapsed that season. But, I think watch out for either of those quarterbacks, and if we can contain them, I think Iowa State has a good chance of winning this game. What do you think, Kroger?
Well, 3 times the charm. So Patrick Mahomes, that's my player too. So like you guys already touched on it. Like if he's got to be healthy or not. Like if he's got to be healthy, Texas Tech has a better chance to win. If he's not, then pressure him for Iowa State. So obviously, like the health of Mahomes, that'd be the key factor for Texas Tech.
Yep, and as we said earlier with defense, I think, or the defensive key, I have Willie Harvey and the linebacker core being the key to stopping the passing game. As I said earlier, just creating pressure in the linebacker core is going to be key to making stops if they can stop this Red Raider defense. Kroger, who do you think?
I'm going to go with Cotton Moya.
All right.
Tech, they like to go deep, and on average, for yards per completion for Tech, is 14.22 yards. So that's more than a first down per completion for Tech.
Yeah.
So, like Cotton Moya, since he's the free safety, he has to make sure that they're not allowing those deep balls.
Yeah, and Cotton Moy has been there. He's been making big hits, but I don't think has he picked up an interception yet this year? Maybe early in the year.
I don't think so. No.
But I think this could be the game for him to step up and make that big play. He's made plenty of big hits. Who do you have as your defensive player?
Right now I've got Dale Pearson. I think he's going to be very big. He's going to need to pressure Mahomes or Davis if he starts, like you were saying.
Yep.
That pressure is going to be huge. Pearson's quick off the ball, and he likes to get to the quarterback And if he can get in his head early, I think it'll be a long day for Tech and a good day for Cyclone fans.
All right, so what needs to get corrected for Iowa State to keep up with this Red Raider offense and get the passing game going more effectively? As I noted, the tight end game finally showed up briefly, and they were able to get some different looks. I think that's going to be the key, is just offering a number of different looks so they can open up things downfield. But Kroger, what do you think?
Well, obviously, the quick passing game so it opens up downfield. But also, I've noticed this from time to time with the Iowa State wide receivers. They sometimes give up on the play too much. Like
Okay.
against Iowa in the second half, they gave up on their routes, and Sam didn't really have like a chance to like throw it to them because they were giving up. They were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm just like give up on my route. Just do whatever, Sam." And really, like the Michael Warren play against Kansas gave up, like that didn't help them at all. So like if they're able to like get the confidence and make sure that they're running the routes, being crisp, and like just making sure they get open from Sam instead of just being lackluster or lazy on the play, that should help Sam out in the passing game.
And another point I had on mine that I think would add on to that, I noticed we run a lot of the same passing plays, and the offense can get kind of stagnant at times. You see them run quick bubble screens, sweeps, slants, and those aren't allowing us to, take shots down the field. Ben, what do you have as your key point for the passing game?
I'm ready to see a big game from Alan Lazard. I think this is his opportunity to make the Big 12 know who he is. We brought him in, big recruit, big name, and he's had flashes, but he hasn't had a complete, game to really show his athleticism and show his dominance that we've seen at times. And I think this is his opportunity to pick apart the Texas Tech defense and make his name known among Big 12 defenses.
And I think that's a good point. We did see Lazard with, I think, 6 receptions and a touchdown
Yes.
last week.
6 receptions, 75 yards.
Yep.
And plus, also, like, he kind of showed his athleticism when he chased down that Kansas guy.
Yeah, that was a great play.
Like,
great
that
hustle
was, like,
play.
over 100 yards probably
Yeah.
from, like, the angle that he ran to. So, like, that athleticism, that's right. They're just trying to chase down those people. If you can do that from the offense instead of, like, trying to stop the other team's defense, that should be perfect for Iowa State.
Yep.
Something I have liked, too, is that we've been spreading the ball around. You're seeing a lot of different receivers get catches. And I think if they continue to do that, that will open things up for Lazard, and we could see him make, have a breakout game. So let's jump to our prediction. You haven't sounded too confident in the Cyclones. What's your prediction? Do you think Tech takes this one?
I do. I think Tech takes it, and I think Tech takes it by quite a bit. My prediction is actually 52-3 for Texas Tech. I think this is going to be a fall-apart game for the Cyclones.
Ouch.
I think Tech is ready to show what they're made of, and I think they're going to seize the opportunity. Lubbock, although it's in the middle of nowhere, it's not an easy place to play. I hope I'm wrong about this prediction, but yeah, I have Tech taking it 52-3.
I don't even know what to say. That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts
Wow.
here. In Ames, Iowa, the prediction 52-3. You heard it here. I'm going to agree. I do think Tech will win this game. I have it a little bit closer. I have Tech winning 38-27. I think the Iowa State offense will again fall a little short, but I think Mahomes will have a good game as well. Kroger, what do you think?
I'm an optimistic, and you know what? I'm just going to say this, like, I probably will be wrong in this prediction, but I'm going to go with Iowa State 41-38.
Hey, why
Like,
not?
I'm
Why
crazy.
not? I like it.
I'm crazy.
Why
but
not?
The last time, like the game that I remember is like with the Jerome Tiller when they dropped 40 on Texas Tech that one year when Tech was ranked. So I'm just go crazy and just pick Iowa State to win.
Hey,
Love it.
I like it, man.
it's not a bad pick. They played Texas Tech down to the wire last year, and it is a different team, but we'll see what happens. Anything could happen in this game. So let's look at the Big 12 as a whole this week, and let's make some predictions. Let's start out. We have Oklahoma State going to West Virginia. I heard earlier West Virginia's quarterback is out.
Free safety Carl Joseph.
Okay,
who's
I was gonna
one
say,
of the best in the Big 12 is out for the season.
Okay, I was going to say, I did have that down. I thought I heard something about a quarterback, so I was like, man, that's crazy. But yeah, I do have Oklahoma State winning this first one. Oklahoma State's won 2 straight games very narrowly. I think they will narrowly pull this one off again, and I think missing that safety will be a key factor in this one. What do you think?
I've got West Virginia. It's in Morgantown.
Okay.
I think they are the better team, but not by much. I think Oklahoma State could take it, but I think West Virginia is going to find the opportunities to do so. It's my Big 12 game of the week. I know we got the Red River Shootout,
Yep.
OU versus Texas, but I think that we'll talk about that in a bit. But I don't think that's going to be a good game at all. I think this will be a fun game to watch for both Oklahoma State and West Virginia fans, and I think it's one that's got a chance to really be entertaining towards the end of the game.
All right, and Kroger, what do you have in this one?
I got West Virginia in this game because really Oklahoma State, they should have 2 losses right now.
Yeah.
K-State game, K-State didn't get the call, and like that helped out Oklahoma State. And really, Texas probably should have been Oklahoma State too. Like they got lucky with Texas fumbling the ball there, so they should have 2 losses right now. And that's why I have West Virginia, especially in Morgantown as well.
All right, and I'm the odd man out on that one. But the next one, I think we may have a unanimous pick here, but we have TCU going to K-State. We'll start with Kroger this time. Who do you like in this one?
All right, so I'm on a radio show called The Clone Zone with Taylor Mankel, one of the other insiders person. And for my upset pick this week, I K-State over TCU.
Okay,
I really
love the
feel
consensus.
Yeah, so K-State, they should probably be undefeated right now,
Yep.
as I mentioned, against the Oklahoma State game. And really, TCU, they've been battling with injuries on the defense.
Yeah.
And I really do not trust TCU this year at all. Like, they've been shady at times on defense and on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel like a Bill Snyder-led team is that pull up the upset against TCU.
All right. Well, personally, I do have TCU winning this one. You know, I mean, I watched that 50-7 thrashing of Texas last week.
Yeah.
And while Texas is Texas,
Yeah.
you know, they're not the Longhorn powerhouse that they've been in the past. But, I mean, that was a statement game for the Frogs. And, you know, I think they can make an even bolder statement and, you know, establish themselves as a powerhouse against Bill Snyder's squad in Manhattan, where it's not an easy place to win. I think TCU will win this one. I have it maybe like a 10-point margin. What do you think about this one, Ben?
Yeah, so I was just telling you guys, I actually spent my freshman year at Kansas State.
Yep.
I grew up a Kansas State fan, idolizing Bill Snyder's autographs in my
Yes.
room right now. Happy 76th birthday, Bill. That happened this week. He's the oldest coach in Division I. That being said, K-State has so many injuries this year. Their starting quarterback got hurt first play of the first game this year. Their third string is out for the season. Their fourth string redshirt transfer has been ill for 2 weeks. And last week versus Oklahoma State, their starter actually suffered a concussion, and they were starting their starting receiver at quarterback for the majority of the game.
Wow.
Who broke his collarbone is out for the season at this point. They're also missing preseason All-American Dante Barnett at safety, and I think that is going to be the big factor, and I think TCU is going to run away with this one, as much as it pains me to say it.
Man, who is K-State going to have on the field this week? Are they going to have
Especially
tryouts this week?
Yeah, it's
or-
going to be interesting. There was an article I read today that said the linemen said they are ready to step up and play quarterback if need be.
Well, that would be fun to watch, and a game that's fun to watch usually every year. The Red River Shootout rivalry in Dallas, Texas. Texas and Oklahoma, a classic. But this year it doesn't appear like it's going to be that close or that much of a close rivalry game, I guess. We'll start with Ben this time. Who do you like in this one, Longhorns or Sooners?
I am going to have to take Oklahoma on this one. I think that'll be the unanimous pick. They have just showed what they're made of this year. Baker Mayfield is making big plays for a big team.
Yep.
I think it'll be closer than some people think. Texas seems to show up to this game even when they have a down year.
Yep.
I think it'll be a 2-touchdown game, but it'll be close until about the third quarter, but ultimately I'm taking Oklahoma with the win.
All right. So, Kroger, are you going horns up or horns down this
I'm
week?
going horns down.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield has just been very impressive this year for Oklahoma. He's a better passer than Trevor Knight ever was for the Oklahoma team, and he's also just as effective runner as well this year.
Yep.
Like I remember watching the Oklahoma versus Tennessee game when they were down 17 points and they came back and won in overtime in Knoxville. And after that game, I was like, Oklahoma's for real this year. So going Oklahoma here.
Yep, and I totally agree. I think Mayfield is for real. He's got the running abilities of like Blake Bell and a much better passing ability than Trevor Knight, thank you. And we're going to make a consensus. Sooners are going to win this one. And while it's a rivalry and things could get interesting, I think the most interesting thing will be to see how the Sooners do it. Will it be the Mayfield-Sterling Shepard show, or will Samaje Perine break this one open? But I think the Sooners win this one handily. And to our probably easiest pick of the week, instead of picking this one, I think we should decide. It's Baylor at Kansas. Does Baylor score more or less than 80 points in this one?
I'm probably going to say they score a little bit less. Well, I'm going to say they're going to be in the 70s here.
Okay.
Because, they did score 63 points against Texas Tech, but the Kansas offense is just as bad as Texas Tech, and, the offense is it's worse than Texas Tech's offense. So I'm going to say somewhere in the 70s, not 80, but, somewhere in the 70s will be the right spot for Baylor this week.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with that. I think Seth Russell just pats the stats. Corey Coleman making a Heisman run, whatever they want to call it. Just hundreds of yards, painful game, but probably less than 80. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be less than 80, only because I think the second-string players will play this whole entire second half. I don't think Art Ross is going to keep his starters out there when they're gunning for playoffs this year.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a smart decision on his part. That being said, I think the backups even have the opportunity to reach 80 if they really tried.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be just under, though.
Yeah, and I've seen Bryles throw out their backup. his name's escaping me. Jarrett something.
Yes.
Stedman?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, I think he might even get like 15, 20 throws in this game.
Yep.
Really,
But-
I just want to see how many catches that big tight end gets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big guy, like the 400-pound plus tight end. I just want to see how good he does against.
If he
this
pulled off
Kansas
like a
City
100-yard receiving
That'd
game or
be a
something like
great
that.
That'd be fantastic.
But all right, so that's all we have for the college football portion, and it's the MLB postseason. We're going to do a little bit of that. So we saw the wild card the past couple of nights. Dallas Keuchel for the Houston Astros played phenomenally, and Jake Arrieta, am I saying that right? Arrieta?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Arrieta dominated for the Cubs, so those are the two teams moving on. So will the Cubs finally reverse the curse, or who do you guys have as your favorites to make the World Series? We'll start with Kroger.
Really, to be honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest baseball guy.
Hey, that's
so
all right.
I had to get like outsourced like information, try to figure this out. Not the biggest follower. So I was influenced to pick Toronto even though they lost today,
Yep.
5-2. But they have the best lineup offensively with
Absolutely,
Donaldson
absolutely.
and I had one other guy,
Bautista,
Yeah,
yep.
Bautista. And also, they have pretty good rotation with David Price, even though he's 0-6 now in the playoffs. I feel like he can bounce back once I hope they move on. And also, I have the Cubs. The young talent's just showing up lately.
Yep.
And watching like that young talent down in Des Moines, I just believe in that. And also, Arrieta's Arrieta, so can't go
Yep.
wrong with that pitcher.
All right, and for mine out of the American League, I have the Royals. And, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest baseball guy. I watch casually, but I'm from Omaha, and I watch a lot of those Royals players come up from the AAA team there. And they've been hampered with some injuries here and there, but, no team is better than responding to adversity, making comebacks, and thriving off momentum than the Royals. And they had a taste of the World Series last year before Madison Bumgarner came and took it away. So I think they're going to go back. And for my National League, I also have the Cubbies. Youth and drive. I saw the Red Sox curse reversed. I can't even say it. Curse reversed, man. Tongue twisters here on the show tonight. But I saw that curse reversed, and I'd like to see another one in my lifetime. I think the Cubs will go back to the future. I like Schwarber, Bryant, Arrieta, good mix of pitching and hitting, and I think they get there. I think they just need to beat the Cardinals. That's the biggest hump. What do you think?
I agree. My AL team is also the Royals. They're a playoff team. They're a team built for a long series of games.
Yep.
And they've been here before. Like you were saying, they're here last year,
Yep.
and they stopped just short, so they're hungry for it. Kansas City's a real tough place to play. I think they'll easily make it to the World Series. Where I think they will lose to none other than the Cubbies. The Cubbies
All
are
right.
hot at the right time, and everybody knows in any sport, postseason is all about getting hot at the right time. My favorite stat I saw today was Jake Arrieta has allowed 4 earned runs since August 1st.
Wow.
And last night, Garrett Cole allowed 4 earned runs in the first 5 innings.
I did see that stat.
So, that's unreal statistics. It's never been done before. Not to mention the guys like Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, Kyle Schwarber going long yesterday, hitting for 3 RBIs. It was out of the park. And I think the Cubs, they're feeling it right now. And the support they're getting, not just from Chicago fans, but from the nation to make this happen. I think 2015 is the year that the curse will be reversed.
Yep, and I have the same thing as my World Series prediction. I have the Cubbies also winning it. I mean, Arrieta flawless lately. And I've seen, a Bumgarner-esque performance out of him. And when you have a pitcher like that you can just throw in at any time and he's going to drop every batter, there's nothing they can do about it. They can't put up runs. And like you said, it's awesome when you have a team like that, both with the Royals and Cubbies, that, the nation wants to root for because they're not the typical teams that you see every year. You got to like that. Who do you have as your World Series champ?
I'm not one of those guys who like to see the Cubs win, to be honest with you. I've grown up in a Cubs house, and I just kind of got sick of it.
Yeah.
So, quite frankly, I have Toronto winning it, mostly
Okay.
because not the biggest Cubs supporter.
Yep, this year's not the year for you.
Not the year for me, mostly because of the young talent. They haven't been there. I feel like if they do get to the World Series, they're gonna probably go, oh my gosh, World Series. I'm gonna panic probably. So, and Toronto's more a seasoned bet team rather than the Cubbies. So I'm gonna feel like the Bets pull it off over the young Bucks.
Okay. And, the one thing I did want to point out, like I said, the Cards are the big hump they have to get past. And I think if they do that, or if they don't do that, excuse me, I think the Cards will pull off that World Series win. But that's all we have for tonight's show. Actually, hold on, we have one update here. Thursday night football, it's halftime. Colts up 13-10 in the greatest quarterback duel of all time, Matt Hasselbeck versus Ryan Mallett.
Oh,
Gotta love that. I have Mallett tonight in fantasy. No, I'm just kidding. But all right, that's all we have for tonight's show. Join us next week, same time, same place. Thank you, guys.